Hey guys, coming another classic movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing. This is a movie that I've wanted to check out for a while. I've wanted to see it since I actually started classic movies, like 3 years ago when I started. I wanted to watch this movie, and every year I'm like, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch it, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it. I was gonna watch it last year, didn't happen. The year before, it didn't happen, and I told myself finally this year I'm gonna watch it, and I did watch it, and that is the 2001 romantic dramedy classic Amelie. Now, Amelie was a movie, like I said, I was really looking forward to. Not just because it's regarded, I think, as one of the best foreign films of all time, but it just really intrigued me. I didn't know much about it, but I heard a lot of really good stuff about it. I heard it's a really great movie, and I just really want to check it out. It seemed really interesting to me. I didn't really know the plot of the movie, but I really wanted to find out what it was, and I figured I'd just check it out. And after checking out Amelie, I have to say that not only I think is Amelie one of the best foreign films I've seen, it is without a doubt a masterpiece. It is a fantastic movie. It is a movie that I think everyone should definitely watch. And even though it's a foreign film, I do think that everyone will really enjoy it. And I'll get to that. But let's get to the plot of Amelie, because the plot is really very fascinating about this movie. The plot really is, one of the most intriguing things, I think, definitely. Because like I said, I went into this movie not really knowing anything about it. Basically, the movie's about this girl, Amelie, obviously. She is this waitress who she pretty much has a pretty shitty life. I mean, she was born with this heart problem, supposedly. Her parents told her all her life she had this heart problem. Her mother died of, like, some guy committing suicide and fell on her. She lives with her father, who kind of is in a bad state, and, she's kind of shy. She's shy, she's a bit eccentric, and she basically doesn't have a lot of confidence in herself. You can definitely tell she doesn't have a lot of confidence, but she decides to use that by one day she does this one thing by returning um this box to this guy who has, like, this child memories inside of it, and she sees how much he touches him, and she realizes that because she touches him, she actually wants to do this to everyone. So she basically decides to go around town, see the problems of the world, see if she can fix it, and basically tries to fix it for them, while in the meantime trying to basically discover herself. And that basically is the plot of Amelie, and you guys can tell why I love this movie. I mean, there's so many great things about this movie that I really do love. Let's get to the cast first, because the cast is something I think works very well in this movie. And the thing is, this is a movie that it is a foreign film, and yes, it is in French, but you can tell these actors, because of the captions, things like that, because of that, you know what they're saying, you know what they're talking about, and it really does add a lot to the movie. I think everyone really did give an amazing performance, especially our lead here, Audrey Tautou, as Amelie, is just spot on. She did a fantastic job as Amelie, because here's the thing with Amelie. Amelie is a very interesting character. She's very weird, she's very eccentric, and she's very kind of shy, but we don't really make fun of her for it. She's that girl that's shy, but we don't make fun of her for it. We instead embrace it, and that's exactly what Amelie does. She looks for the flaws in herself, she tries to make it a positive, and she really does that very well. This is a very likable character. You want Amelie to succeed, you want her to find love, you want her to feel happy about herself, and she did a very good job of that. I really enjoyed the way she portrayed this character. Amelie herself is just full of light. She's full of light, she's full of positive. She doesn't really let a lot of things bother her, and I think she did a very good job. I really loved her performance, and without a doubt, she definitely does carry this movie. She was fantastic. Everyone else, though, was really good. Matteo Kasovitz as Nino, I thought, was good. There really aren't any big standouts, because here's the thing with this movie. This isn't really the easiest movie to review, because most of this movie is Amelie basically doing these small things for people and having it be a big impact on them, and that's something I think they did very well with this movie. I really did appreciate. And some of the characters she does meet, there we have a very eccentric bunch between Raymond Dufayel, who is this glass man, between this girl Gina, who's a painter, who's a waitress, and then you have this the grocer College Non, who basically is this man that's a grocer that everyone kind of thinks is this, like, attitude, and she wants to kind of change that around. You have Georgette, who is this hypochondriac. If you don't know what that means, she always thinks something's wrong with her. And you have this guy that's a writer. You have a guy that's a painter. I mean, all these different kinds of occupations. I think they all did a very good job. They all really do have their standout scenes. And you really do see what their goal is, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, and how Amelie really plans to turn around with them. I think was very well done. There isn't really any standouts necessarily, but I do think they all did a really good job. We have a very good bunch here, and I think as an ensemble, they all worked very well together, definitely. And I don't think the movie was necessarily meant to have a standout. It's not one of those kind of movies. I'll get into that. But the directing here by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, that's something, Jeanette Jeunet, something like that. I really do want to commend, because this is a movie that could have been very dramatic and very sad and things like that, but instead he portrays it in a very positive light, and that really is the message of this movie, is that when something bad's going on, try to turn around, make it a positive, and try to make it better, and that's exactly what he tried to do with this movie. The movie itself is very fun to watch, it's a very positive film, it's a very uplifting film, and I really did love his directing throughout the movie, but he did tell a realistic story. When there need to be some dramatic moments, there were dramatic moments. You can see that not all is right in Amelie's world. She might not necessarily be focused on it, but not everything is right, and I think he did a very good job directing that. I definitely really did appreciate it. The tone, I thought, was very good, very funny at points as well. Like, the movie itself is actually a lot of fun. I really loved how fun the movie really was, and I also love that despite it being a French film, he really did make it so it could cater to everyone. Everyone really could relate to it. It's not just, you don't just have to be from France and you know the Parisian life to like this movie. You can be really anywhere and then you'll enjoy this movie. If you ever met someone that's weird, but they're kind of weird in a unique way, and there's something about them that's just intriguing, then you should definitely check out this movie, because that's exactly what this is. And the screenplay, though, in my opinion, is really the thing that made this movie so great, because as great as Audrey Tautou is, I think she's a great actress, the movie really would not be as good without the screenplay. The screenplay really is just fantastic. Everything about the screenplay is so great. And here's the thing, like I said, this isn't a movie with standout scenes. This is a movie where everything's kind of fairly low-key, but the idea is those small scenes that might not seem like they make them, they really need to fit in this movie, they really do much of anything, really are meant to drive the story forward. Because the movie's really focusing on those small little things in life, like opening a door for someone, or picking up something, and how that really affects them, what they go through, where their life takes them, how she turns things around for them. Just the way this all works out, I absolutely loved. I love the way that she turned things around. I love that she wanted to do this. Nobody basically asked her to do this. She just feels that she needs to do this. She feels that it's her duty to turn things around. She feels that she's the one to do this. And even for her father, she does things. And I really did love seeing that, the way she makes everyone's life better. By far, one of the best parts of this movie, just seeing how she changes everyone's life and the impact she really has on them. But what I also love is that the movie also is a character study, because Amelie really is trying to find herself. Like I said, she's been through a lot in the movie, and I think they did a very good job of presenting that. The screenplay, the way they go through her journey, I definitely really do love, because she doesn't really know if she wants love. She kind of thinks that she kind of is incapable of love. Like, no one's really going to love her. She's more meant to make people fall in love by actually, falling in love. She's able to make this one couple fall in love, but she doesn't really know if she is capable of doing that herself. She doesn't really know if she's right for that. She thinks she's too awkward for that, and I think it's a very realistic portrayal, because when you are that situation where, you're kind of in this weird state, which I think everyone at some point goes through. That's the other thing with Amelie. She's not just a weird girl. She is pretty much how everyone is when they're weird. They're awkward, they don't really know what to do in the situation. I mean, there's a scene where there's this couple having sex, and Amelie's just smiling. Not just because she knows that this is her doing, that she's the reason why they're happy and having sex, but also because she doesn't really know what else to do. She just smiles and kind of goes along with it, and I really did enjoy that. And I really did find a lot of the conversation scenes very fascinating in this movie. A lot of the lives of these characters I really did love. But getting back to Amelie, the way the story's done in this movie is very well done, because the first 10 minutes, there's barely any actual dialogue. It's actually all narration, and a lot of people could say, oh, it's an exposition dump, but it's a very necessary one, because this really does feel like one of those stories you hear from, like, someone, back, like, say you're in France and there's like this girl and they have like this reputation and you hear this story, it doesn't necessarily sound believable. It did actually happen, and I really did love that. I think the story itself is very interesting, what Amelie went through, everything she went through in her life. I mean, we can even see her two parents have the weirdest things that just bothers them. Like, her mom is bothered by, like, when she has her face on the pill and there's like lines in her face. It's very interesting. The beginning I found very fascinating. One of my favorite parts of the movie, without a doubt, is learning, how her two parents are, what their flaws were, what bothers them. I just found it very fascinating, because it really obviously isn't what normally, fascinates or bothers an individual, and I really did love the way they showed that. It really did show that these people are not, are not normal. They're not necessarily not normal, but they're just not, standard. They're not a standard, they're not a standard, they are eccentric, but we have to embrace them for it. And I think the movie really is trying to say that. When someone's weird, don't make fun of them, don't think that they're just weird, embrace them, try to find what makes them this way, why are they acting this way, because everyone really does have something unique to them, and I think the movie's really trying to say that everyone that has something with them, they really have a quality to make it better, and I think the movie really is trying to say that, and I really did love that. the love story in this movie. Now, the movie is a romantic comedy, but it's not really romantic comedy the way you think. It's really not a love story till I'd say the last, like, hour of it is really when it gets into the love story part, because the first half of the movie is just Amelie doing things for everyone. And again, it's not the easiest movie to review because she's just going to person doing these things, whether it's finding them a boyfriend or trying to help them with a painting or get her father this gnome that he wants and things like that. She really just does, she basically goes out of her way to do all these nice things for people, and I definitely really did love that. I think that they did a very good job, but when we did get to that love story, it did not feel overcrowded. That was my main problem. I was like, okay, we're not seeing a love story here. I know we're going to see it at some point. When it finally came in, it felt like it was the perfect time, because this is after Amelie's done everything, basically. This is after she's done all these good things, and I don't want to spoil, but the way they handle it really is fantastic. I don't really think they could have handled it better than they did, really. It was very well done. I love the way it was done, and especially the guy she ends up with. It makes sense why she ended up with this guy. The guy that she ends up with is not perfect, and I love that they portrayed him as not perfect, because that's what the movie's really trying to say. No one really is perfect. No one really is there is no such thing as a standard human being. There is no such thing as a normal human being, and I think the movie really does show that. Everyone has a unique quality about them. Now, the cinematography here is simply beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful movies to look at. I mean, you look at this movie and you feel like you're in France. Why? Because they did shoot in France. The whole movie was shot in France or in Germany. It looks beautiful to look at. You really do feel like you're in that French culture. You feel like you're in that time. And the movie actually takes place in the 90s, which I thought was very interesting. There's a lot of references to Princess Diana's murder. That's kind of a side thing, how that's affecting everyone. I found that to be very interesting. But I really love the culture. I thought the culture itself was really cool. The way that everything just looked. You really felt like you were in that French type period, and I definitely really did love that. I love the way that was handled. And I've never been to France, but this movie really does make you want to go to France. Just the way it looks seemingly just amazing. The score here I absolutely love. It feels like when you're at a French restaurant and you hear like those, like that music, that live music playing, like Bella Notte from like Lady and the Tramp. That's kind of what the score is, and I love the score. The da 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 da. That score, I definitely really did love that. I thought it was a very well done score. It really did add a lot to the positive tone of the movie, and I really did love it. And a lot of times it is very wacky, sometimes it's very silly, but I really did love the score. I thought they used it very well. The editing as well. The movie's 2 hours, but it flies by. I was into it the whole time. There was not one scene that I thought was dull. I thought every scene was very interesting. A lot of the movie are the characters just revealing things and finding out little things about their past. And again, there's scenes in this movie that don't seem a big deal, but that's the exact idea. They're not supposed to feel like a big deal because they really are just a small thing, but it really is changing them as a person. Every action we do in life has some sort of a consequence, whether it's positive or negative. There's some sort of an outcome, and I think the movie really does explore that in a very good way. Definitely really did love that. And then in terms of Oscars, this movie actually did get a lot in terms of Oscars. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. It didn't win anything, but it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, luckily. And there's actually a Broadway adaptation in development, which I could see happening. I could totally see this going to Broadway, being a musical about it. I could totally see Amelie as a Broadway musical. Overall, guys, I absolutely loved Amelie. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to say about this movie because a lot of it is her going from person to person, trying to make their life better, and then the outcome that has, which there are like tons of subplots. I'm not going to get into it, but I think it's all very well done. It was very well told, and it really does focus more on, and the thing I love is that it does focus on them, but it really focuses more on the impact that Amelie had on them and how she really changed their life for the better, and I really did love that. I think it really just has this great message of just go out and do something, do change, just do one small thing for someone. You're by doing one small thing, you're really making their life better. There could be something that they're just not happy with, and by doing this one thing, you really are fixing things for them. And I think the movie really did show that very well. I really did love that. It's a very positive message, and I definitely really do think that it's a movie for everyone. Not for kids. There's nudity in this and sex and things like that, but I think for anyone that has met someone that's weird or thinks that they're weird, check this movie out because it really shows that there is no such, there really is nothing that separates the weird from the not weird. That basically everyone is weird, and I think the movie really portrayed that very well. And overall, guys, absolutely loved Amelie, and I'm definitely going to give Amelie a 5 out of 5 or an A+. This movie is an absolute masterpiece. I totally recommend you guys check it out. It is an amazing movie, and I can't wait to check it out again. It really is just a really feel-good movie. Like, it's one of those movies where it's just feel-good. You love every second of watching it, and everything about it, I think, is just fantastic. So, overall, guys, I'm going to you guys saw Amelie. If you haven't seen it, love to hear your thoughts on it. I absolutely loved everything about this movie. And I will see you guys in my next one, which will be for tonight's episode of either Empire or The Americans. I don't know which one first, and I will see you guys for that. So, okay, bye.